Good morning, Wakaliwood. We are here in the studios today to investigate the ongoing counterculture movement, which has taken America by storm.
Indeed. We'll be looking at the current causes of this, the reasons behind this, what the movement is actually doing, and more. But first, let's cover what the term actually means.
A counterculture movement is a movement dedicated to opposing the social norm. A past example of this kind of movement is the Bohemianism movement of the late 1800s, although it is arguably less popular than the ongoing movement we see today.
Of course. In fact, the movement we are currently observing is actually so large that it can be seen affecting the world, rather than just the United States. Let's get into some of the reasons behind the traction this movement possesses.
One of the major influences regarding this movement is the Beatles. In fact, we actually have Giorno Giovanni present in the Hollywood Arena, ready to interview the band in person. Since they're still in the middle of a concert right now, we'll be right back with this exclusive interview after this short message.
Wait, I think that is all we need for that cut. You ought to go ahead and take 5 or something.
Well, I think that was pretty good. I gotta admit though, after that, I am parched.
Us too. Say, what's a man gotta do around here to get some?
Oh,
Yes.
well, speak of the devil, it's cold aid, man. What a time to arrive. We were so parched.
Yes, of course. But with our cold aid, the parching will last no longer. Here, have this. Why, thank you.
Always delicious, eh?
Enjoy, but remember to avoid parchment and drink cold aid. I won't always be here to quench your thirst.
Sounds like a good idea if you ask me. Disclaimer: Cold Date and all associated products are not responsible for health-related issues following the consumption of this product, including but not limited to addiction. Or in some cases, death. All products may include traces of cocaine and or heroin. Drink at your own risk. This product can be found in all participating major retailers, including Wakali Mart.
Thank you, Jim. Today I'm in downtown Wakaliwood with a member of one of the biggest bands today, the Beatles. In fact, they're just finishing up one of their top hits. Right. With that, let's get to this interview with one of the Beatles himself. Follow me. Although I'm sure no introduction is needed, please introduce yourself to those who may not know. Sure, my name is Paul McCartney and I'm the bassist co-lead vocalist for the Beatles. I see. Thank you for the introduction. Lately, your band, the Beatles, has had a sweeping influence over the younger generations. While hippie culture has existed in the prior years, the culture had never seen such massive growth as it did during the record-topping Beatles album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band. Can you tell us a bit about this album and the effect you think it had? Well, I guess the main reason it had such an effect is because it just displayed the main principles of the counterculture and hippies movement, you know? Drugs, love, like moving from older generations, you know? I see, that does seem to be quite the trend nowadays, you know? One of the main critics of your band that your band receives from the older generation is your views on segregation in the United States and your refusal to pay for a segregated audience. How does this make you feel? What are your opinions on the matter? I mean, the idea is just silly, you know? Why should anyone be treated any different than anyone else? I mean, based solely on something that they can't control, to be honest, we don't really care what the older generation thinks about us. If we bring joy to some people, that's all that really matters, right?
Amale, what are you doing?
Right, your popularity,
Huh?
Are you a drug abuser?
huh?
Get back here. I want the bounty.
Well then. As you were saying. To be honest, not really. Our band has just been speaking about what we believe, just showing that we should have freedom to express ourselves. This had an effect specifically for the better, in which the youth of America have taken on a standpoint, pushed that forward, you know? I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad about that at all. If anything, I feel like this will really help better America, don't you? Indeed. I see that as fair. Well, that's about all we have time for, but before we continue on, is there anything else you'd like to say to our viewers? Of course, for anyone watching, just remember, be yourselves. Don't let the media tell you what you should or shouldn't be, man. A great message indeed. Well, thank you for the interview. Anytime. Back to you, Fulabi.
Fulabi?
Thank you, Gianno. Anyway, it seems that the Beat has quite a moving band. To have influenced so many people with such simple views, quite the culture shock indeed.
But these artists are one of many. In fact, there are other popular artists right now who are making other creative forms of work, such as paintings, including Andy Warhol. These people are also influencing this movement in what is being said. We'll go over how and why, directly answered by the man himself, along with some other questions in our next interview.
Indeed. For our next interview, we currently have Onjo on the scene, about to be interviewing Andy Warhol, a famous counterculture related artist. With that being said, you may take it from here.
Thank you, Fulabi. Today I'm here with Andy Warhol, one of the many influential artists who have been quite involved in this counterculture movement. With that being said, let's start off with what brought you to this point. When did you first start making art that was involved in this counterculture movement?
Well, I started these works in the 50s, actually. I worked for multiple companies as a commercial artist when I first started.
Interesting. How did your works become involved in the counterculture movement?
Well, as I started to exhibit my art, people started noticing the controversy behind the art, and it became pretty influential.
I see. And what about these works is controversial?
Well, there's the methods in which they're made, the people involved, and the views that are correlated with the works.
What would be an example of this controversy?
Well, I suppose an example would be my Campbell soup painting. Back in '68 when it was released, it was, in a way, a part of the American supermarket, which really questioned what it was and pushed the limits of art.
What are you doing?
Huh? Why is it so bright?
Lighting up the room. Why? No, that's too much. Get those lights off. Sorry about that. Anyways, what was the American supermarket?
It was an exhibit in 1964 which consisted of a show where there was this supermarket, but it had everything in it created by all these popular pop artists, even the controversial ones.
Interesting. And how has this controversy related to the counterculture movement?
Well, that originates from the general art I make, because pop art represented the counterculture movement.
How does it represent the movement?
The art movement represents the counterculture movement because the works consist of taking images related to pop culture and turning them into delicate works of art, which is a play on how young Americans these days reject the conventions of an established society.
Oh, so that's how it works?
Indeed.
That's a unique and clever approach, I'd say. With that being said, let's get on with our next event. Thank you, Andy, for this interview.
No problem.
Okay. $19 Wakani night card. Who wants it?
Hold up, back it up, you know where we going. Headed to studios.
What are you doing here?
I want the card.
Man, you play Wakani night too much.
No, I don't.
Just go find something else to do. I'm listening to Sow E Goig anyway.
Well, I guess that's understandable. After all, with its high accessibility on both YouTube and SoundCloud under Wakani Records, who wouldn't want to listen to those bots?
Right? I can't wait to listen to Sow E Goig tapes in its entirety. It'll be a great album, by the way.
For real. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm going to go listen to Poppin' Showers. I'll talk to you later.
Cool.
Hold up, back it up, you know where we going. Headed to studios in a Rolls Royce, making new videos with that Fulabi voice. Good morning, with Hollywood, it never disappoints. Hold up, wait a minute, where we be going? To the studios, videos, we going. Got a deadline, so it's time to get going. Ain't no time left to waste, yeah, so we going.
They call me Croyer Rick cause I keep him spicy.
The Sow E Goig tapes. A valued listening experience coming soon to you. Be sure to check out Wakani Records on SoundCloud or YouTube for an exclusive preview of the new album. And we are now backstage at the Woodstock Festival. Here we have a few attenders of this concert, as it is currently raining outside. However, many are still participating in the live festival regardless of such weather. As for the people in here, we'll be asking them about this festival. Let's start off with what it is. Hello. We've heard that you two may have a connection on this ongoing Woodstock event. Would you mind if we interviewed the both of you?
Well, of course. You came to the right place.
I see.
Just read the line, there's no seats.
Hold on. So, before you get started, why don't you introduce yourselves to our audience?
Sure, my name is Joel Rosenman.
And I'm John P. Roberts.
Right. So, what are your current relations with this festival?
Well, the both of us are actually the financiers who helped start this movement to begin with.
Interesting. Was it just you two who started up this event, or was there anybody else involved?
Well, it was us and two others. The two others are Michael Lang and Artie Cornfield.
I see. So, what was your plan, or rather your idea, when you made the decision to start the planning of this festival?
The idea was a lot different than what actually happened, to say the least. We wanted to make a concert to help fund other projects which consisted of well-known artists around the area, in order for there to be a good amount of popularity and resulting profit.
That's a bit odd though. Right now the concert is recognized as a free concert. Are you saying that this was not your original intention?
No, it wasn't. We wanted to make profits, however, we weren't able to get booths and fences by the deadlines. So it ended up being the free concert that it is as of now.
Aside from that, how has this event been tying itself into the counterculture movement? What makes this event represented so much?
Oh, well, there's a few reasons behind that. The first reason lies in another one of the reasons for the creation of this event, actually. That being creating some kind of event where all pro-drugs and anti-war Americans can meet up and help ease national tensions through music. These movements were also supported by many of the artists, including those whom we currently see performing in this festival.
That is reasonable. What about the music itself for this concert? Does that have anything to do with this movement? Or is it just normal music played with unique intentions?
Well, the music is normal to some extent, but so far we have seen many artists play their top hits with slight alterations that reflect the views of nearly all who have been attending this festival. Not all songs that have been played so far have been protest songs. However, all of them had some relations to the anti-war movement or drug movement that has been going on as of now.
I see. And what about the people themselves who are attending this festival? Do they have anything to do with this movement?
Of course, so far nearly our entire demographic has consisted of hippies who basically represent the counterculture, as you may already know. They support the very same ideals which are present in the counterculture movement and the culture itself as we know it.
Interesting. Well, I'd like to thank you for allowing us to interview you for live answers to these questions. It seems that this event may be quite important in the future with how it is going.
No problem.
Well, it seems that there are many important events and people that have been influencing this movement in recent years, and even as we speak, such as the Woodstock Festival, for being a place for hippies to release tensions regarding their views that are a part of the movement itself, the arrival of the Beatles, for pushing the counterculture movement forward and spreading the views of the movement to their fan base, and Andy Warhol, for reflecting the outward and opposite nature of the movement through his unique artworks and art topics. With that being said, that is all we have for this episode on the counterculture movement. We'll see you next time on Wakani News.